I am the Spoon Man.
And like that that Mountain Dew commercial.
I've never been a big Mountain Dew fan.
Me neither. I fail to see the appeal.
I could do like 2-3 sips maybe. Baja Blast is the same way, 2-3 sips, but I'm more of a cola guy.
Yeah, I'm the Diet Coke guy. I can also do a live wire every now and then, but it's like a special treat. Kind of like cream
What
soda.
is that?
I wouldn't want to drink cream soda every day.
Oh, a cream soda. I feel like a cream soda is exclusive to the summer, and I know that doesn't make sense.
No, I dig it.
You dig it? All right. Well, let's get rolling. You want to get rolling?
Let's roll, dude. I remain pretty jazzed up about this last game, but what say you?
Well, I would say let's welcome back to the fan forum. That's what I say. Thanks for joining us, Hitch. Looks like you're slowly migrating away from the dead into, is that camo?
Yeah, a little disappointed in this one. I like it, but it got all fucked up in the dryer. Wore it once, so it's a shop hoodie now.
Where is the hoodie that you are going to model off for us?
It's still in the package that it was shipped in, sitting on my couch. So
Okay, fair enough. So we're making progress.
Yeah, I now possess the hoodie. Modifications still need to be made.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. I thought I had a dead
man,
shirt
I'll tell you what.
but...
We'll keep your clothes on. Don't worry. We got sports to talk about. Enough with this fashion talk. Dude, what a game! Seriously.
Yeah.
We real. Play, and I went back on a few episodes, and I feel like that's exactly what I say on every podcast or every episode is what a game.
This was my favorite game to watch so far this year, honestly.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree with that, just because the blowout games were fun. The offensive showdowns, the 49-3 or the 7 touchdowns in a row in Jacksonville. Those are fun in a different way, but this was a nail biter. And
it was intense, and it was so physical.
So physical. The animosity you could feel all day, just in the way the media was covering the game. You could feel all the broadcasters. I know we did our little live coverage, and we talked about this, but dude, you could just feel the broadcasters even having to, they all knew the Lions were going to win, but they had to pick Green Bay. A couple of them had to pick Green Bay. They almost started kind of amping it up so heavy, right? Jordan Love's going to go into Ford Field, and he's going to tear them apart because this game doesn't matter for the Lions, right? The Lions are already in the playoffs, and this means more for Green Bay. And, this is a perfect opportunity, this, that, and the other. Scared the shit out of me, honestly, because we went over the injury report. We had 13 guys out. We had, I think, 5 or 6 active, I would almost say starters, if you want to say on the defense, that weren't on the team a week ago. Yep. You had so much stacked up against us. The only thing that you had going for us was A, it was a home game, and B, our offense was healthy, which is great. So, I don't know. I think we're going to spend a lot of time this hour talking about the defense.
For sure.
It is mindset. You know what I mean? Name another team where they've had 5 guys fly in, here's your pads, here's the playbook, plug in, contribute, win the game.
Yeah, they always, that next man up has always been a mentality that every team preaches, but here it's so much easier said than done, and we're doing it. There's these guys that like you said, are quite literally off of the bus, didn't even know what their number was going to be until they were handed their game jersey, and they all played a role, and not just a role, but a pivotal role. I was at a Christmas party on Saturday, and the whole buzz there was, who are these guys and why weren't they on other teams? Why were they sitting there? And I think it's just speaks miles and volumes to what our coaching staff can do to prepare these guys.
Well, and I think to add to that, Hitch, it also speaks to I say it a lot, but the culture in that building and what that word truly means and what that translates to. It's more than advertisement on TV. It's more than jersey sales. Dude, it's more than ticket sales, right? This is what the culture does. It allows players to come in, you're right, from a practice squad on another team where they're not getting utilized, put a jersey on, grab a playbook, and it's plug and play.
Yeah. Some of these guys weren't even.
It should be no surprise, though, I guess is my point, because
that as free agents, these guys, not just the former Pro Bowlers that were sitting there waiting for a good opportunity, but some of these guys were just free agents, and we bring them in and make them emergent starters, and they're getting tackles for losses. They're grading out so high relatively in the PFF rankings, and all the metrics are there. And they're not just showing up on paper or during the week at practice. They're making plays in the backfield. They're putting pressure on the quarterback. I mean, who's your boy from Eastern Michigan, right? I remember when we brought him in, familiar with him because of the mock drafts that we do over the years and because he's somewhat local. But he comes in and just was a force in the middle. And I was talking to these dudes on Saturday, and everybody was saying they remember him. They remember him playing college football in Michigan. They remember him in all of our pre-draft talk, like I said. But he's a stereotypical outside defensive end in a 3-4 scheme. And we bring him in here. He's been around. He's been around with the franchise since the beginning of the year, I believe. But I think he was elevated from the practice squad a few weeks ago. And he's playing inside 3 technique in the interior next to McNeil, and he's just thriving. He's thriving. He doesn't look like a practice squatter or a D2 practice squad guy. He's thriving. He was in the backfield for the whole game, and it just
you're using the wrong word. He's benefiting.
The benefit. He is a beneficiary, and this is reminding.
I
don't have to remind everybody that this is without Hutch.
Yes,
Smith has been fucking fantastic. Smith is doing exactly
we'll talk about
what
him,
brought
but
him in to
he's
do.
been, and there's a lot I want to talk about, but yep.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a great example. He's washed up by everyone else's standards, and he comes in here and plays like a Pro Bowler in prime time to sweep a division rival, making plays in the backfield. It's just fantastic to watch. It just keeps going back to, whoops, I'm okay. It keeps going back to how special of a season this is, man. It's just something to behold.
Special of a season, special of a coaching staff, but special of a start of something bigger than just one season. And the resounding word out there, I would say, within the likes of guys like Bill Belichick and Hall of Famers that are donning the airwaves of ESPN, where this is something a part of a bigger 5-year, 6-year, you never want to say dynasty, but we're talking about an organization that's building something big.
Well, let's look
the
at
Packers
the fact
in the 90s, the Cowboys, the kind of what the Broncos did for a while, what the 49ers did for a while. You're building something that's built to last. How about that? I hate using the words like dynasty, but you're building something that's just really built to last and something that you can get behind.
I'm no longer scared to talk about this window being open. I think the resounding opinion going into this year is that this should be a 10 or 11 win team. They should make the playoffs. Now, we got quite a bit of football, quite a bit of meaningful football left to play, and we're sitting there on a 10 game winning streak, right? I'm no longer thinking that it's win now, even though, of course, we want to win now. Of course, we want to keep doing what we're doing. But this isn't going to be one of these things where it's like, remember when the Lions were good. not for a few more years. I think this is going to be a thing. Like, we're going to look at this season as, remember when the Lions got over the hump? And I think we said it before. We're to a point where this team's going to be good for a while, right? There's not even 32 starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL. And right now we have a guy that like it or not, agree with it or not, is in talks for MVP contention. He's not going to get it because of the things that Saquon Barkley's doing. But
fuck the Eagles.
Fuck the Eagles. But we're built to last, and we got Goff for at least another year, and maybe the chance in 2 years will be Hendon, Hooker, but we're built to win now and be competitive for a long time.
Yeah, and that's because of everything they've done in the draft. Because, you know, you want to talk about hometown. Your boy Jack Campbell, dude, this was his game where he took over the role of Anzalone.
Now,
I mean, I saw Alex up there and Hutch in the suite watching, and they had to be proud of the way Jack Campbell took control of that defense and took all of the new players and made sure they were where they need to be. I know he was applauded multiple times in the game by the coaching staff for correcting some of the new linebackers and hey, you're supposed to be in this formation, slide over 2 inches, this, that, and the other. But stuff you'd see from a captain, stuff we saw from Anzalone, right? Stuff you were starting to see from Derek Barnes. So, kudos to you with really, I don't want to say calling that, but you were high on Jack Campbell before I really even was totally focused in on who the hell the guy was before we drafted him. So I'll forever associate Jack Campbell with you.
I was so high on Jack Campbell in the whole pre-draft process. And when I heard that the Lions had met with him, I believe twice in the process, and when they met with him the second time, when they got to have a limited number of second visits, they met with him for like an hour and a half or something. I was maybe one of the only people in Metro Detroit not shocked that they not only did that they took him, but that they took him at like 7th or 12th or whatever. And people started to freak out, and we all said at the end of night one, let's just see what this whole class looks like. And I think everyone with that opinion was vindicated because this class is fucking sick. But Jack Campbell, let me put it to you this way. Being a fan of Detroit sports that I know you are, when I say to you Kronwald, what does that mean to you?
Getting destroyed.
Getting
not even getting destroyed, but just getting lifted and then completely getting put down on your ass. Now, I forgot about getting Kronwald.
Do you remember when Kronwall would Kronwall people? Sometimes he'd have to sit for leaping, and he would leave the ground a little bit too soon. But do you remember when he really Kronwalled somebody with their head down against the boards, skating in at the blue line, and he would do this thing where he would turn backwards and just coast into people, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you can work maybe you can work your magic here, but and maybe stitch this in. But one of the wide receivers up the sideline, Campbell came in to clean up. He was the second man in. Play was almost over, but the play wasn't whistled dead, and he Kronwall, the wide receiver, he flew in like this, and he turned backwards and kind of hit him with his shoulder, and he fucking Kronwalled him. I sat up on my couch and yelled, "Kronwalled!" It was unbelievable, and I think that this is just the tip of the iceberg, if you will, with Jack Campbell in this extended role.
I'll tell you what, you can do 10 minutes every week on Jack Campbell because, it's the tip. It's just the tip of the iceberg. I think that's a Brian Urlacher level jersey that you're going to see being sold, right? That was a linebacker. And I'm saying Brian Urlacher because he was popular outside of the Bears. He was big. Yeah. People loved, as much as I hate the Bears, people loved that guy because he represented a nasty, crazy, mean defense. Something that I feel like they missed the buck on with Khalil Mack in the NFL. But Jack Campbell might be that kind of he's the Kronwall for the team. Good job. I'll give you that all day. I feel
like moving forward, like not able to see the future. Let's try to maybe project what could happen or might happen in the next, I don't know, 4 years. If we allow Jack Campbell to hit free agency, for fair weather football fans, for fans outside of the NFC North, I think that they're going to be blown away if he signs with another team for an astronomical contract. And then they're going to start looking into him, right? And we can only...
Well, this is where you're screwed right off the bat, because I can look into the future. Because Brad Holmes is the GM. What has Brad Holmes showed us he's going to do? He's going to lock guys up that deserve it. Jack Campbell is going to get a contract extension before you and I are even thinking about Jack Campbell needing a contract extension, but at the right time where Jack Campbell and his agent are going, you know what? If they called me right now, I'd sign that deal. It ain't even about money. And then Brad just picks up his phone and goes, hey, 4 years, whatever the fair market value plus a little bit more is, front loaded. Yeah, sure. Sounds great. I mean, that I can see in the future with Brad Holmes, dude. But I get where you're going. I know you love doing your hypothetical free agent stuff.
I'm just saying, if time comes where he goes, he'll get a monster contract, and fair weather fans will think, what the hell? And then they'll look into him and they'll watch highlight reel and they'll look at his stats and think, oh my God. Because he is a little bit under the radar. He's young in the league. With Hutchinson healthy, with the young corners that we drafted, with the free agents that we brought in, he has this luxury up until this new role due to injury. He's had this luxury of just doing his job week in, week out, and kind of flying under the radar a little bit. And with the visibility of these national games and with what he's been able to put on tape in these national games, I think his days of flying under the radar are done.
I'd say they're done. I mean, he's going to get recognized, but I think that the type of guy he seems to be is just a psycho on the field.
Yep.
You know who I was watching little highlights on was Brian Cushing. Like, I think they called him the king of CTE. But
he's a madman, or was a madman.
Dude, I forgot how mad he was.
I'll never forget. Wasn't it a Raiders game where he was playing with just blood trickling down his face and he's headbutting his own teammates on the sideline? And I mean,
and he doesn't have a helmet on, but they do.
He would take his helmet off to headbutt these dudes. He was, there's the steroid conversation to be had about him, but he was just a freak. He was a freak.
Yeah, he's what's his name from the program?
Latimer.
There you go. And I'm not saying Jack Campbell's any of this. Yeah. But I'm not saying anything like Jack Campbell's anything like this, but I just think he is I think he's never going to need any attention or shadow, or you're going to have your guys like your Brian Branches and your Kirby Joseph, dude. I love Kirby Joseph. The way he ran out of that tunnel, talking shit, and he's like just calling him out. I mean, and the look on his face.
He tweeted about him too. I think it was after the game going into the tunnel where somebody was running his mouth. A Packer was running his mouth.
And it was the tight end.
Oh,
I forgot the gentleman's name, but he called him out before the game. And he said, I can't wait, basically to square up on you, dude, and level up.
Yeah, and he had to be held back. It wasn't like a big incident, but coaches got between them, guided him into the locker room, kind of ushered him away. And then you thought it was over, but it wasn't over. He tweeted about it. He tweeted and said, you're going to talk about laying hands on me, but you're not going to show up when I'm in front of your face. So he continued to call the dude out. It's this swagger that we've been missing for so long.
But it's not even swagger. It's swagger, but there's so much bark, but dude, there's so much bite, because there's so much validity that goes behind it, because this is Kirby Joseph, who's been nothing but consistent, who's been nothing but a professional, who's been nothing but just top notch. And yeah, he's talking trash, but it's like the right level of trash. It's that respectable amount of, there you go. He's backing it up.
And, I believe, and, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was our second or third full game without a interception, which is a little strange for us. But what we've been doing, we talked a little bit already about the physicality of this game. I firmly believe that we have changed our style of defense, and in part because we have to with all of these injuries and these next man up that are playing new roles for the team. But we are running downhill and laying wood like the Lions have not done since the fucking 70s, man. Um, it's a different style of defense that we're seeing against some of these better teams. We're letting up a few more points. We're not generating the turnovers that we once were, but we are becoming this not just, I was going to say the back end, but not just the back end. We're becoming this defense as a whole unit that you can't prepare for, and that people are looking down their schedules and dreading playing.
A good call on, and that's it. It's people are having a hard time going, okay, I don't even know who's going to be in that position, right? Who is going to be in that corner position, number 2, that week? Who are we preparing for? How are they coming? Here's the one thing that I've noticed. It's almost cartoon-like. Whoever we're playing, as soon as they get the ball, it's Looney Tunes style. It's pile on. You've got guys coming from everywhere, and it's just boom. Yeah, and players just missiles, like drones. Like they're literally like those Tomahawk drone missiles where they're just coming and firing at them. And you're right, it's different. It's not that heavy man cover lockdown style of defense that we saw in the first half with all of our healthy 1A and 1B guys. Now it is just fire gaps, fire.
Well, and you want to talk about shutdown corners and shutting people down and playing man. Do you recall all the way back to like the first or second episode that we did together this season? Who did I say was going to be the breakout, the standout, the fantasy star, if you will, for the Packers? What receiver did I call out?
Oh, Addison. Yeah, you did like a
no, not
15
Addison.
minute.
Addison goes over. Addison and Watson have the ability to go over the top, which they did, and so does Wicks, which he did in this game. But if you recall or play it back, I called out Jordan Reed. And I don't think it was a real bold prediction to think that he was the cream of the crop in that receiver room, that he was the Golden Tate, if you will, of that receiver room. And he has went forth and has been fantastic, right? He is their clear-cut number 1. They play him all over the place. He is their version of Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you will. Guess who had, like, I don't know, maybe 4 targets and 0 receptions for 0 yards?
Who?
Reed. We locked him down. He had 1 drop. He got hit in the mouth a couple of times. They didn't do any of that end around shit with him, I don't recall. We shut him down. So we were able to play
1 target, 0 yards.
1 target, and it was a drop. So we shut him down, took him out of the game.
You're right.
And we're still able to come up into the box and hit guys in the mouth. Our pressure and our sacks and the physicality that we played with, it wasn't due necessarily to coverage, if you will. We just got all over the place and got aggressive and made plays and hurried them up. But we took Reed out of this game.
Would you not say that Christian Watson is the most ugliest player in the NFL?
I can confidently tell you that I have never seen a picture of that man.
I want you, seriously, right now, to look him up.
Here we go.
But look him up like in the game. He is the... Dude, he looks like a fucking alien experiment that went wrong, like a hybrid that they should have put down. Like, escape the lab.
Oh, yikes.
See, he just looks stupid.
Yeah, I mean, if I saw the dude at the gas station, I probably wouldn't even notice him. But, man, he... I can't even describe it, I guess. He's not a technical member of the, Eddie George Alien Club, the Scottie Pippen.
No, that's a good alien club. The Eddie George Alien. Dude, see, this is what people don't get about aliens. There's good aliens, there's bad aliens. Christian Watson is just like I just don't like the guy. I hate him.
He looks like the kid that was by far the best athlete at his high school. And you see what that's translating to in the NFL. And when their deep threats were able to take the top off of us, it was frustrating, albeit frustrating. I didn't care. They weren't doing it all night. I don't think we were rolling out this bend don't break crap, but they got lucky a couple of times. It translated to points, but we just continued to hit them in the mouth, man. It was just the most fun I have had watching a Lions game in a long, long, long time.
I think we both keep saying that too every week with some of these crazy games. Because so we started out watching the game. It was 8 o'clock downstairs, and then at halftime, it was we talked. Listen, if it was going to be a blowout, we'd get on, but it was a tight game. Alicia and I finish it up in bed, and literally biting our nails to the very end. I mean, to the very, very end, trying to stay awake. And it came down to Bates, man.
It seems like it does often, and the kid is yet to disappoint, right? He's big play Bates or whatever they're calling him. He's a good find.
He's a great find. And I just let's look at these stats.
I want you to pull up the stats because I would like to talk about a couple other players too. So let's break it down. Let's talk about Bates, and then I got two guys to bring up.
I mean, Bates was 2 for 2, and he was 4 for 4 in his extra points. His longest was 43, which is, I think, he sealed the game with a 35, 37-yard field goal.
He was able to seal that game with a 30-ish yard field goal because of the bold call on fourth down, right?
Yeah, well,
4th and inches, and people got some strong feelings about that, and we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah, let's get right to that because I'm really getting sick of this entire fan base. I think this is where you can tell the true Lions fans versus these dumb fucks that just want to have an opinion. And I'm swearing too much, but it really bothered me that there's a radio program that we listen to 97.1 in the middle of the day that I turn on, and the fucking first thing they're talking about is, okay, it all worked. We won the game. But
what if it didn't?
It's just like, come on, guys. That argument is over a long time ago because of his consistency, because of everything. And I think this seals it. I think this ends the argument right now. When they asked Jared Goff the same question that you're asking me, he said, listen, when you have a coach that does stuff like that, that's who you want to play for. End it right there. He's telling you. That's why we love him so much. So stop nitpicking that stuff because, guys, that's why it's working. That's why we bite kneecaps. That's why he's MCDC. That's why David Montgomery is running like he's never ran before. That's why these linemen are blocking at the next level like they've never done before. That's why Tim Patrick has waited so long and blocked so hard, and every wide receiver on that team blocks so hard because of guys like Dan Campbell.
Yep.
What are we picking him about?
People are saying,
go be a fucking Packers fan.
People are saying it didn't cost him this time, but if he keeps being this reckless, it will cost him. Dude, do what works. You would act like they were talking about the fact that maybe this bad team stole one from a good Packers team. We swept the fucking Packers, and we beat them last year too. And what Dan Campbell is doing is working, and it's energizing to these guys. And talk about the BDE. You know what BDE means, right?
Yeah, Big Detroit Energy.
Big Detroit Energy. So you talk about the BDE of putting your big man out, putting your knuckles, your smash mouth running back on the field at 4th and inches with the game on the line potentially, and just everyone in the stadium, everyone on the sidelines, everyone in the fucking country knew that they were going to run that ball up the fucking gut. And what is more BDE than just telegraphing what you're going to do and being able to manhandle up front to do it, right? That's what creates this swagger and this big Detroit energy and the way that these guys are feeling and laying it all out for Dan Campbell and this whole goddamn staff is that you told Green Bay what you're doing and they couldn't stop you, dude. That game was over as soon as we were able to just out-physical them, and we out-physical them all night, dude. And now besides for this is Dan Campbell being too reckless, we have to deal with all this bullshit about the penalties, and this game was called so one-sided. And how about this bullshit about Jared Goff should have been down when Glasgow stepped on him and his knee hit the ground? Who is posting this bullshit? Who watches these games and then takes the internet with such a bullshit understanding of the fundamentals of football to try to say that Jared Goff should have been ruled down? And let me tell you something. When you look at what has been posted time and time and time and time again, I mean, I deleted them from the fan forum because it was bullshit.
I did the same thing.
The rule book post that said, oh, for the last 7 years or whatever the fuck, that this was a rule, that was AI generated. That was fake. Somebody literally went to their AI and said, generate me something that looks like an NFL rule book that states that a quarterback goes down or is ruled down when his knee touches the ground. Who the fuck are these people? And who are these whiny babies from Green Bay and all over the place that are that's sharing this bullshit? We beat them. We out physicaled them. We benefited from a couple missed calls, but so did they, man. That's the way that good football teams play each other. It's just like hockey. This was basically a playoff game for all intents and purposes. This had some real implications. And when you're playing on primetime TV, two good teams dogfighting for the lead in the division, you let them play. And they're acting like we were the only ones benefiting or that we were the only ones that could play so physical. They had the opportunity to hit us in the mouth and they couldn't do it. So stop it with the bullshit rules. If you want to come at us, understand the fucking rules before you come at us. This is the whiniest bunch of bullshit that I can remember. You didn't hear us whining when Kelvin got processed. You didn't hear us whining in the Dallas playoff game with the lack of the PI. We whined, we did what we could during the game, and we moved on. Remember the Saints PI or lack of PI in the playoffs? That got a lot of attention, and people were whining about it, but when it's over, dude. We beat you. We beat you twice. We beat you at home, and we knocked the shit out of you at Ford Field. Get over it. Move on to next year. You got a good nucleus. You got a good quarterback that we spent way too much time talking about this last week in the run-up to this. We beat you. We fucking beat you. Stop whining.
Well, I would say, and that's that.
Yeah,
and that's the bottom line because Hitch said so. No, I mean, you're exactly right. Listen, not only did we beat you twice this year, but we set the standard because Hitch, you're right. This is a playoff game. This is what a division game on the back end of the season is supposed to be. Every division game, every division has a rivalry, and ours is the Packers in a sense, right? Because historically, we're playing them at a time where we can either fuck their season up or we can make them look real good on national TV, right? And that's what they're used to. They're used to letting us be the joke. And they've been the one team in the division that I'm going to tell you that I think has slept on the Lions. I think they've had kind of the big brother approach where Bears fans,
big brother, yep.
Bears fans will tell you right away, and they're not even going to have the conversation. Vikings fans aren't real. I don't really care about Vikings fans. They're not real. But Packers fans kind of act like this. Oh yeah, it'll wear off. Or yo, this is cute. Oh, you guys had your good season, you beat us, but guys, this is real. And Green Bay fans, I know there's so many in Michigan because screw you guys, you just didn't want to be a Lions fan, but this is real. And your coach has been cucked out by Dan Campbell big time. I watched him get into a fight, almost fight with a fan who was doing like a flag ceremony at the beginning. And the fan did this to him. And Matt LaFleur he bit hard on a fan. That means he's that rattled. So I don't care. As long as Matt LaFleur is the coach for the Packers, every time he plays Dan Campbell, it will be like this. He will bow down.
We're rent-free. I kind of hate using sayings like that, but it is clear that after what we did to them in the first game and what we were able to do to them last year, that Campbell has a spot there rent fucking free. And
he does.
Just keep showing up, and we're going to keep showing up, man. And whatever happened to the idea that has been perpetuated for eons that this is the black and blue division. You don't want to get hit in the mouth. You don't want to get hit in the mouth. Get out of this division.
Exactly. That's what all these teams are notoriously known for doing. You know what I mean? And I just feel like, I'll tell you what, these aren't the Packers of our days where you had the Brett Favre and the roster goes on, but I feel like those guys were a little bit tougher, a little bit more. Those fans were a little bit, I don't know, real Packers fans. I think that when they made their Super Bowl run with Aaron Rodgers and the whatever he was doing, the touchdown shit with the belt. I think they just, in Little Wayne, they just picked up so many bandwagon fans, and these bandwagon fans, you know, similar to like the Patriots, they're not used to this losing shit, right? Like we went to Bronner's this weekend, right, to go get some Christmas ornaments. Strategically picked it on a Sunday where the Lions weren't playing.
Sure.
And I told Alicia, I said their Bronner's is screwed up because they did not stock for Lions, because when you go there, there's Lions stuff, there's Packers stuff, and dude, there was Kansas City stuff.
They're behind the times, man.
Exactly. Lions sold out. Packers,
who
Kansas
knew that
City,
Frankenmuth could be behind the times? That's strange.
Go figure. Don't even get me started in what goes on under Bronner's.
Oh, dude, they got a little tunnel system there deceiving all of us, I believe.
Dude, this is like Disney on a small level. Wallace Bronner, Walt Disney.
Holy shit, I can see it. Don't get a shadow banned.
Oh, it's not going to get shadow banned. I don't think anybody's. I think we would be the first ones to crack this big, mysterious
this
network that's been going on up in Frankenmuth.
Trafficking, yeah.
Bavarian trafficking, yeah.
Greta Van Fleet is like the convenient cover. They came on at the right time just to distract us from what's going on in Little Bavaria.
Well, I think in the off season, you and I take a trip up to Frankenmuth and we expose it. We turn this whole podcast into something completely different. We'll go on Rumble for that one.
One of those NPR style like exposés. We'll do 8 episodes on the underbelly of Little Bavaria.
Dude, yes. The Soft White Underbelly. Have you ever listened to that podcast? That's a really good one.
Religiously, yeah.
We'll have to do something similar, but a little bit more boots on the ground.
Yeah. A little more lederhosen.
A lot more lederhosen. Well, long story short.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, so long story short, I feel like this fan base that we have right now in Detroit is so authentic that I don't think there is another team or another state in another sport that is as big and powerful as the Detroit Lions and authentic as the Detroit Lions fan base.
Authentic. New to the party, bring it on. I'm not mad about fair weather fans. Bring it on, dude. This weather, this climate, if you will, in Detroit is fucking attractive, dude. Joining the bandwagon of the Lions right now would be like me getting mad at my parents if they decided to winter in Florida. You know, everybody's been doing it, but it's working. Come on down. We're going to play some good smash mouth football, and we're not going to win every week. Well, you know what, dude? I keep saying we're not going to win every week, but hey, so far we've won every week but one, and we're just fucking steamrolling. We're steamrolling.
Well, we got a big game coming up this week, which I'm luckily enough, I'm going to be there with Jason. I can't wait. CBS is going to be there doing the pregame. They couldn't flex it. No, they can't flex it. So I found out why they can't flex it. So the network that has the right to all the game reserves the right to say X amount of games are unflexible. And CBS said, no, you ain't flexing this one. We are going to make way too much money. They're already sending the guys down there or up there, wherever they're based out of, to do the pregame stuff. It's just too big of a game. They're not going to flex it.
Is this slated for 1 o'clock on CBS?
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock, okay. We said
so 4 o'clock game. 4 o'clock and Hitch, I'm telling you what, I'm going to be there, and I know that you aren't a conspiracy theorist, and you think I am one, and that's great, because that just usually means I'm right. This is the game I honestly think we're going to lose. I think we're destined to be 12-2.
Okay.
I
Now,
really do. I want to keep this image of being a bad, mean team, right? And I think that this is the game where Vegas punishes the Lions for being too good and says, "Nope, you're supposed to be 12-2."
watching last night, right, what Buffalo did and what Josh Allen did late last night was a thing of beauty, right? What did he have, 6 touchdowns?
Yeah, but did they win?
I honestly don't know. I fell asleep.
No. The Rams beat them.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? You're right. I did hear that. And that speaks to the fact that the Rams are still good. It doesn't necessarily always matter what your record is. Stafford put a dime onto Cooper Kupp in the end zone, right? I mean, Stafford's still good. Rams are good, but Josh Allen scored 6 fucking touchdowns, right? 3 in the air, 3 on the ground. Insane. It's insane.
What do teams have a hard time doing with us?
What do teams have a hard time doing with us?
Doing against us.
Not whining after we beat the fuck out of them.
We're the best team on third down. Best run defense on third down. So there's an element of Josh Allen's game that we can take away with our defense, with our missile attack defense. But you're right. I'm telling you, straight up, Wayne, I know you're listening. It's your favorite team. I truly think
you're talking about Wayne.
Do you know Wayne?
Wayne
No, not a different Wayne. A friend of ours, Alicia Nice.
Right.
He's lives in Canada, but he's a Buffalo Bills fan.
Everyone
he comments on the
Canada's a
podcast all the
Bills fan.
time.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he wants to come on after the game, like
Bring
the
it.
next episode.
Tell him to bring the heat, man. I'd love to.
Oh, he'll bring the heat. He knows his shit, dude.
All right.
He knows his shit. But I truly, honestly, dude, I truly think this is that one game where it scares me. I've been super confident going into this. I hope we beat the Bills because I'm going there.
What about it scares you? Because I would like to challenge that that overused term of this scares me, because I see that the Bills are a great team. But what scares you about Buffalo? Compare what we've been able to do through 13 games to what Buffalo has been able to do through 13 games. Tell me, bullet point it for me. What scares you?
What scares me is that if there was ever a team, and I'm just going to say this flat out, if there was ever a team in the back end of our schedule that we're going to drop a game to, it's going to be Buffalo. I don't want to drop a game to the Bills.
I'm not disagreeing with you,
or the Bears.
I want to hear the bullet points of what's going to cost us this game if you're ready to do that.
The bullet points of what's going to cost us a game is, as much as I love the plug and play defense, I also think with a quarterback like Josh Allen, I think you're also going to expose the fact that Jack Campbell is the captain of the defense right now, and Pat O'Connor is probably not going to have the most disruptive game like he did. And I'm not sure if Aleem McNeil is fully healthy for this game. It just seems like if there's a game where our defense isn't going to be able to save us by the shoestrings, it's just this game. And it's not one person. I just think this is time where we are going to have to feel some type of collective punishment for beating Vegas's odds and beating the injury odds, especially Hitch, with Hutchinson recovering at a record pace that they're saying he might even make it back even before the Super Bowl.
I also heard that Barnes potentially could come back for a playoff run, which I didn't think was a thing. I didn't think that was a thing at all until I read it yesterday.
Like, I just feel like there's this storyline that's going to be told where the hot, crazy, cool Lions are doing this, they're doing that, but man, it's Buffalo, it's Josh Allen, it's the Bills, right? They wanted that to happen last year when we played Kansas City and we beat them. Beginning of the season, they're not going to manipulate that game so much. This is that one game, I'm promising you right now. This is the one and only time this season is I'm just going to say, I think they're going to lose. Prove me wrong.
What's your favorite kind of beer?
Free.
Well, I stopped on the way home. I paid $14.99 for a 12-pack of Rolling Rocks. So what's your favorite beer?
I love me some Rolling Rock. I love Labatt Blue. I like yeah, pretty much anything but the fruity beers. I just don't do well with those. And
All right,
IPAs, I feel like I'm allergic to them now for some
so
reason.
gentleman's bet here, um, without a spread, straight up, win or lose, Lions win. I want a 12-pack of Rolling Rock delivered to me with a bow on it, and I will do the same for you. Right? If the Lions lose this game, I will drop you off a macro 12-pack of your choice with a fucking Christmas bow on it, right to your front porch.
Okay. That's
All
fair.
right.
I mean, and honestly, we outrank them in every stat as I look at this. We're on an 11 game win streak. I I don't have I hope I'm dude, I hope I have to back a truck up to your house and just soak you in Rolling Rock. Like I want I want to be wrong on this one.
Well,
Prove
I
me
mean,
wrong.
I think you hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong, but I mean, I see what you're saying. There's definitely merit to what you're saying, but okay, break it down. Josh Allen's good. We've played good quarterbacks. We've beaten good quarterbacks. Their running
It's
game is
Buffalo
strong, and
plus
they're
2.
okay. Well, that to me is saying it's a crapshoot, right? Because they're
That's what
not
I'm
even
saying. Right
saying
now. Right now
right.
it's plus and minus, it's 2. The difference is 2.
Okay. Well, they have a good quarterback, probably the best in my opinion. We're built to win. They have a strong running game. What did we do to Jacobs twice this year? Right, he got loose on us a little bit in the first game of the series, but what did we do to him? Not, it chalked it up to 2 Green Bay losses. We've played good running backs this year. It's chalked up to losses. They
Yeah.
have a receiver room that probably wasn't as stellar as it was at the beginning of this year, but they got Amari Cooper still. They got a young, successful tight end, a good running back. Who doesn't? Right? There's teams shittier than others, but we've locked down some good running backs. We've locked down some really good wide receivers. Their defense is stout, but I don't think it's as stout as ours. You just said it. We lead them in every category. So let's see, dude. We're at home. We're on a franchise record-setting winning streak. If it comes to an end, hey, worse things have happened, but I feel as positive about this game as I have about every other game.
Hey, I love it, honestly. And I think it's time that one of us takes a stand and plays the
The
devil's
contrarian.
advocate.
We
And
kept
this is the
saying
one game that I
argument
honestly.
every argument needs a contrarian. So you can be the contrarian this week. And
Well, and if you, dude, I'm looking at total defense too. Hitch, they're ranked. We're 10, they're 11. Yes, it's a very comparable team. Your argument stands true. Um, they're a better passing defense by a margin. I mean,
slightly. Yeah.
it's slightly, dude. I mean, it's nothing to shake a stick at when I say that. I really hope you're right. I just feel like if there's one game where we're going to get a slice of humble pie, I mean, God, that would be awesome if we win out and we only have one loss and we lock in that home playoff spot ASAP. Man, that is the main goal. I think that's the biggest thing we need to talk about.
I
Win,
will
lose, or
give it.
draw with this Bills game. That's the biggest takeaway that we need to set with this season. Is that is now the new standard, dude. Not only are we winning the North, but we're getting that home field advantage in that
We're
first
looking
round
for
bye.
buys and home field advantage throughout.
Yes,
The
that is the new
expectation here
standard.
is it's up here.
It's there. I mean, because that's when you want to say you're contending for a Super Bowl every year with a good roster. That's your best bet of not having to run through the gauntlet, dude. And we know that's what works.
I'll give it to you. I know I'm still real fired up. I think the energy is coming through this week, but it's certainly our biggest challenge to date.
It is. It is. And I truly think from a personnel standpoint, like the Packers game, that's more of just there's a lot of history on that, right? The Bears game, that was a Thanksgiving Day game. The rest of the games were like the Cowboys, dude, that was just an open face palm slap. The rest of those games were let's show America what we can do, and everybody was super healthy. Um, but, 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 if we're going to drop a game, if we're going to be 12-2, I'm okay with it being to the Bills as long as we finish the back end of the season out strong because we're playing the Vikings one more time, which are good. But
Last
they're
game
not
of the year,
great.
right? They're going to flex that
Yep.
game.
They're going to flex the hell out of that game.
Yep. I have friends going to that game, and I mentioned to them today, I said, are you prepared for this game to get flexed? They have their daughter's coming in from out of town. I believe she lives in Chicago. They had these tickets the day the tickets went on sale. Her daughter said, I want to go to a game. I'm going to be in Michigan this week. This is the game we should go to. And I just casually mentioned to her today, I know your daughter's not in perpetuity. Are you prepared for this game to be flexed? And they already thought ahead and said, yes, we are prepared for a Thursday, a Saturday, a Sunday, or a Monday. Because that game on the schedule, as to date, it reads TBD.
Prepare to be flexed.
Yeah. It'll be flexed.
You're right. It will be flexed.
Even if we both go on skids, it's still going to be a marquee game with what the NFC North has turned into. We are the powerhouse of fucking football, man.
Well, and they want us to end too because look at this. We've got this. This is another game I don't want you just to lose sight of is the 49ers because usually we're seeing the 49ers on the back end of the season where they're smacking us around, dude. This is what a 6-7 49ers team. That's a Monday night game.
Yeah, and that was a Monday night game out of the gates. That's the NFC Championship rematch, right? I mean it's going to be a good game. They're beat up, and still to this day, nobody truly knows what Brock Purdy is. The Christian McCaffrey,
poor guy.
I know, IR back and IR'd, and I hate to say it, man, but I feel like
he's done, like Bo Jackson.
I don't think he's done, but I feel like the days of him just being this monumental game-breaking threat could be over. And I feel like when he can play, he is a game-breaking threat. But I mean, dude, if you
got to stay healthy.
If you tried to go to work every day and everybody's like, "Here comes Mark. He's the cat's ass. Here he comes," and then every day something happens to you that makes you have to stay home from work for the next 3, 4, 5, 8 weeks. At a certain point,
well, it's how much money he's paid. Let's look at that realistically.
All cachet aside, no matter how good you are, like what do they say, dude? The best attribute is availability. Doesn't matter who you are if you can't be available.
I mean, this is football, dude. He needs to play. He's a running back. And that offense is basically tailored around him. They traded what they traded. There's so much that goes into him. And he's a really great player and a great person, and I want to see him succeed, and it just doesn't seem like it's happening in San Francisco.
I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll tack on a few thousand more yards in the next few years, but it is sad to see someone that talented, that good, that much of a game breaker who has all of the attributes except for the availability. It's sad to see, but I mean, can't take a team like that lightly either because they've been able to plug and play with a couple different running backs who just succeed, right? It's kind of similar to the Mike Shanahan Denver Broncos of old. Whoever is going to tote the rock for you is going to be a threat. And I'm not saying that McCaffrey is a system player, but he landed in the system for running backs.
Yeah, he landed in the system especially for him too.
Yep.
So let's go back to this Bills game real quick because I see something that sticks out to me. Injured versus no injured. I know it's early and they don't have to, but right now there's nobody out for the Bills. They're questionable.
Not a single person?
Not a single person is listed as out.
Okay.
Questionable, but not out.
Okay.
DJ Reader, Pasquale, Onwuzurike, and Taylor Decker out for the Lions. That's a for sure.
DJ Reader, Pasquale, Taylor Decker, and who?
Onwuzurike.
Okay.
Those
All
are
right.
for sure out.
Okay.
So I know that I've been defending this little injury bug and everything, but I'm telling you, if it's got to give, it's going to give this week.
Yeah, they're the best team that we're probably going to play in the regular season. And to say that this potentially could be a Super Bowl preview, I think the thought was there when the schedule was released, but now it's looking very real. That this is a Super Bowl preview. So let's see. You know,
This is an absolute Super Bowl preview, and this is the best part I love about this in the power rankings, where it's the Lions, the Eagles, and the Chiefs, and the Vikings, and they don't even have the Bills in the top 5.
I
Can't believe I'm defending the Bills.
I wish we lived in a world where we could just stop talking about the Chiefs, man.
I'm so done with the Chiefs, dude. But I'm telling you, if you want to look for a reason why this shit is scripted and rigged, look at the fucking Chiefs. Look at the way these games are ending. I mean, it's getting pretty bad.
Yeah, and what the Chiefs are doing, you can't ignore by any means. But the Chiefs are more obnoxious to me than any part of the Patriots dynasty. There's just something about the Chiefs, man. There's something.
The Patriots dynasty hurt so bad because they were so good and so efficient and so good at taking talent. And I think that's kind of where we were going in the beginning of this, where they're just plugging guys in because they had a system. They called it the Patriot way back then, but it's like you showed up to work, and you knew if you showed up and you stood right there, you were going to do your job and you were going to get rewarded for it. So, it's the Chiefs to me. I really like Andy Reid, but I just go away. You retire. Just retire, because we saw what happened with Eric Bieniemy when he left. He just got kicked out of UNLV or UCLA.
I don't know. I don't follow college. I think it's terrible. So I don't want to flip the script on you, but we've been going for a minute here. So there was a couple of things that I wanted to mention about this Packers game. Can we go backwards a little bit?
We can go wherever you want.
Dig it. So we have had this knack, this little hot streak or lucky streak, if you will, of making some predictions game to game this year that have come to fruition. Not all. Oh, I just headbutted my own microphone like Brian fucking Cushing. Some things that have come to fruition, and not all of them are easy, obvious takes. So let's think back a minute about what we were able to say in the two long form episodes that we did last week. Can you pull up some stats for me here?
Yeah, I think I could do that.
What did Laporta's stat line look like?
He was 5 receptions, 7 targets, 54 yards, and basically averages 10 yards a catch for the Packers game.
One of us, don't recall off the top of my head who, called for Laporta to have a little bit of a breakout game, if you will, a game similar to what we were used to seeing in his breakout record-setting rookie year.
Yep.
So 54 yards isn't necessarily some polarizing stat line, but they were 54 important yards. And then what we can't ignore is the fact that we talked about Laporta, albeit down some yardage.
When he's averaging 10 yards a catch, that's where you're headed. Yes. Those are the big plays we talked about, where he's running 10 yards up the field on a wheel route, making that big first down.
Well, and let's talk a little bit more about this ballsy, gutsy, controversial decision to go for it on 4th and inches. If you can look back at this or stitch this in, I'm not the only one that noticed the block that he made. The block that he made was pivotal. It was quite literally the linchpin in getting that first down on 4th and inches that allowed us to kick this game-winning field goal. He showed up with some clutch yardage, but his blocking, which we mentioned last week, is just almost second to none. Name me a better blocking tight end across both conferences that also has the ability or the propensity to like take the top off, right? He is the most complete tight end that Detroit, I believe, has ever had. And the block that he made won us this game. And we called that. We called that.
Yep. Yeah.
So the other thing that I think merits further discussion here, Tim Patrick.
I was going to say, just give yourself a pat on the back for Tim Patrick because, dude, this man has had a phenomenal season that hasn't shown up on the stat sheet. And he gets 6 receptions for 43 yards, 7.5 yards a catch with 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns for Tim Patrick. And Jared Goff said, I've never met a guy who deserves this more. He comes in and he's not asked for anything other than a spot on the roster and to contribute. And this is the beauty of this team is guys like Tim Patrick, guys like Laporta, that's our secret weapon down the line, down the end of the season. Everybody knows what J-Mo can do. Sonic and Knuckles is no surprise. But Tim Patrick in the end zone? Oh, shit, I didn't even think about that.
I think you and I...
Sam Laporta? Oh, fuck, we forgot about Sam Laporta when he's averaging 10 yards a catch.
And these aren't guys, like I said before, we're not waiting to unlock them. They're not necessarily secret weapons, but they're just so steady. They're so steady. And, you know, losing Josh Reynolds hurt a little. Forget about his 2 crucial drops in the NFC Championship game. That didn't necessarily cost us the game. We shot ourselves in the foot for 4 quarters or for 2 quarters.
We shouldn't have been in that position. That's right.
So Josh Reynolds, I was worried about us being able to replace his production. I think in the last 2 weeks, Patrick has proven that he is more of an asset, a sustainable asset to this team than Josh Reynolds ever was. And it was exclamated, it was bookmarked, it was Poach's stamped, signed, sealed, and delivered by 2 fucking touchdowns. And that is such a visible statistic that I think this guy is finally getting some attention for the blocking that he does, for the routes that he runs so hard when he knows he's not getting the ball. And I believe this to be true, at least personally. I can't remember a more likable Detroit Lion than Tim Patrick.
Yeah, I agree with that. And this is a reason why I think you could just back the argument up and say, thank you, Brad Holmes, because there are people just like the ones we talked about in the beginning of the podcast that wanted to make Josh Reynolds a $12 million a year paid wide receiver because we're used to finding these guys and just not wanting to let them go. Brad said, nope, move on, go ahead. We'll bring in Tim Patrick off the practice squad from the Denver Broncos. I mean, this is exactly what Brad does. He finds guys that are in the wrong position and says, hey, you know, I got a better plan for you. And they say, sounds like a plan, dude. You know, I mean, there's no hard sell to come to the Lions anymore. Really, you're just waiting for them to call you.
Brad has been shopping for a Tim Patrick type wide receiver since he got here, right?
And he's told us that.
He drafted Green out of North Carolina late in the draft. He traded for DJP.
Yes, he's made it perfectly clear what he's trying to do.
Yep. And somehow,
shame on anybody for not figuring this out.
Somehow he's able to do it at such little cost and such low risk. It's unreal.
Leverage and timing, dude. That's the beauty. He doesn't move when he doesn't need to.
You wanted to talk about Za'Darius Smith, so now that we're back on to the Packers, talking about a guy that we acquired for very little risk and very little cap hit. Talk about Za'Darius Smith.
Talk about how that man is on a mission from God to get revenge. He wanted
that revenge because he said he could have went to Minnesota, right?
He said that he played for the Packers. He's played for all of them, but he said I played for the Packers, and when I played for them, I would have kept playing for them, and I got hurt, and they just stuck me on the bench and shoved me away and told me I wasn't worth shit. So that was revenge to show that I am. And his brother was also a Packer at
Oh,
the
I didn't
time, and
know
I
that.
think
I
still
didn't
is.
realize that.
Oh yeah, they were on the same team.
Didn't know that.
But you want to talk about a guy who I think has had a resurgence in his career. I think this is, dude, he is. We've talked about the comparisons to the 97 Red Wings. 04 Pistons, dude. Going to work
Okay.
Pistons. He is Rasheed Wallace. That's all this is. That was the biggest trade that took the Pistons and solidified them now as like contenders, right? Was getting Sheed. Now I know the reason we got him was to make up for the lack of production from Hutchinson being hurt. But damn it, Hitch, you know Hutchinson is creepy, and he's coming back, and he's freaky on how he's healing. They need to make a documentary about him, not Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah.
but about Hutchinson. And dude, that is going to blow the world up when you have Zadarius Smith and you have Aiden Hutchinson and you guys got guys like Matt Crosby going, maybe I should have went to Detroit.
Interesting thing to consider. Never thought about this until right now. I feel like even Hutch, healthy, both legs intact, firing on all cylinders, I feel like Brad still would have brought in Smith right now this year.
He would have. And he would have had even more leverage because there was no need.
You're right.
Think about it. The whole world had us trading right after Hutchinson got hurt. The next game, before the next game, it was trade 5 first-round picks and half the company and cut Sheila Ford in half and right? And then it's like, oh, we blow the team out. Okay, we don't really need to do that. And then, oh, we don't technically really need to do all that. And all these other teams are going, oh, shit, fuck. And the Browns are sitting here following the nature of the business, going, we have to get rid of him. We just have to.
Yeah. And we have him he's under contract that we have to pay very little of through next year. So we're looking at a Smith and Hutch
and a guy like him, he's in his, I think he's 32. What do you really truly think he's going, nope, I got to go out and get a bag. I'm going to go play for the worst team ever and be the highest paid this. He's going to be like, just lock me up, baby, because I see what's happening here. I mean, he came in here and got the respect from Dan Campbell. He gave him the bye week. He showed him the respect no one else has. And he sitting on a sideline before he was even geared up coaching our players. He even took credit for sacks that those guys said. And he said, no, I told them on the sidelines, make these adjustments, and it worked.
Yep.
So you get so much more with these guys that we're bringing in, these high-level guys, where we're just not bringing in, these morons, these psychopaths. We're bringing in these cerebral, Would it shock you if a guy like Zadarius Smith ends up becoming some type of coach in the future? No, that
not at all.
Seems to be the path that all this is going on, dude.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you really want to feel motivated and fun, I sent this to Bone this morning, but Gruden did an interview with Wayne Fontes, and Jesus Christ, have we come a long way.
John Gruden did a recent interview with Wayne Fontes.
Did a recent interview. And when I say interview, I'm talking about Wayne Fontes talks for an hour. And he just basically tells you that all he ever did was make sure Barry Sanders got to the game. That was it. Yeah, and everybody in the team knew, just get Barry to the game.
Get Barry to the game and keep him hooked up with his fucking Coke plug and everything's right with the world.
You had to go there? I thought I would have done that.
Cocaine Wayne.
I just think it's like, you want to see how far we've come along, dude. Just watch that. It's so cool to see the past meeting the future and seeing this legacy being kind of established, this timeline, right? I go to Pistons games and there's a timeline of coaches, of Chuck Daly and Larry Brown, and just the list goes on of all the Pistons coaches. There's a timeline of all the Tigers coaches, of Sparky Anderson all the way up to AJ Hinch with some Jim Leland.
All of a sudden, I'm having some serious.
With the Lions, you've really had
issues. It doesn't always translate
Wayne Fontes
to the podcast. Sorry if I'm interrupting you, but
and that's it. Hitch. I can't think of many coaches that are worth shaking a stick over with. Maybe Jim Schwartz. I mean, he had his moments, but Nothing like we're building right now. There's going to be a coaching tree
Yeah.
off Dan Campbell, is where I'm headed. The
Oh,
Dan
the Dan
Campbell
Campbell
coaching tree is a real
is
thing.
already starting, man. We're looking at our primary coordinators being the two
Yeah.
top candidates for any open position, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's the only way, and I'm not going to say that this would force the wheels to come off, but it's hard to replace guys like Johnson and Glenn. But I've said it before. I think that we have guys in the wings here being groomed to take over.
Yeah, I think you're right. You said it before with Shep. He's probably groomed to take over the defensive position.
You know, I saw him in pregame dancing around and running up to his squad and high-fiving and chest bumping, and he looks like he could play. With all the problems that we've had at linebacker this year,
Probably still could.
He should come out of fucking retirement, dude. That guy is jacked. They talk about Campbell being jacked. Oh, no. He could play. I believe he could play.
You need a Shep calendar hanging above your bed.
I got one.
The many months of Shep.
All right, dude.
Well, dude, we're at about that special moment. And I think we need to wrap it up. And I think there's some opportunity for us to do some conversation maybe later on in this week. But this is about a strong hour of hardcore, we beat the Packers. We have a nice bet going on with the Bills game that I'm going to be at. We're going to have a Bills fan come on next week and talk about what you think. We all hope is a win. I win. But I'll just go on record and state that if I'm going to be paranoid about one game, it's this game. And those are my last words. Hitch, what do you got?
Yeah, your concern is founded. I mean, this is a challenge. This is our toughest game of the year. They're healthy. We're not. They're awesome. We're awesome. We're at home. They're on the road. There's a lot to watch this game, and I think that there's going to be a lot to talk about next week either way. I want to say that my energy has never been higher for the Lions, and that says a lot.
Good.
It's been a riot up to this point. I want to thank everybody that is listening, everybody that's sharing. We've had not one but two clips now go pretty legit viral. I also want to say, if you're listening, Scott, thank you for listening every week. I hope you sleep tight tonight. Again, Mark, killing it, keeping me honest, getting me on here, having a ton of fun with it. And we'll see. Maybe we'll get on again before this Bills game, but we'll see. It's just been a ton of fun, and it's been the right season to do this, and I'm so grateful for the people that are following, listening, sharing, contributing, giving us feedback. It's fantastic.
Yeah, like it, subscribe it. We need as many people we can get to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our Spotify channel. I'm going to make an Apple podcast too, because a lot of people listen to podcasts, but man, we want as much feedback, engagement as possible. So stick on to the Facebook profile. Thank you for listening, but if you got comments, don't text them to me. Put them in the comment section. They can be as mean and weird as they want to be. You can call us out for messing something up, but start talking some shit, Chuck, in the comment section.
Yeah, buddy.
That's what you're good at. That's what you do.
My
Create
actual
chaos on the internet, Chuck.
My actual closing statement here is going to be, I can't wait for you to record a video of Jason deadass starting the Jared Goff chant at the Buffalo game.
That game is going to bring us some good content. Trust me. I'm going to make sure between my phone and his phone, both charged up, and we're going to be all over the stadium. I want to try to get him on TV through CBS and throw him in the background. And it's going to be fun.
Well, I'll be watching for both of you, man. And this was another solid one. So, deuces.
Peace.